Viral in minutes. Fans called it the Camp Chrissy clip and analyzed it. Frame after frame, Jim did not explicitly mention the footage, but the following day he went live again. This time his tone was colder, less emotive, and more focused. "Just want the truth," he stated calmly. "No excuses, no lies, just the truth. That's all I ever wanted." He didn't mention Maine's because he hadn't already told everyone, understood who he was talking about. He terminated the love suddenly after just 5 minutes, leaving viewers with more questions than answers. Meanwhile, the strain on Chrissy was mounting, and she began turning off comments on her latest postings. She stopped going live, and even more revealing, she didn't show up to a planned public engagement she had been marketing for weeks. Fans saw instantly that concealing someone replied, "She knows Jim ain't playing Cameron." On the other hand, continued posting like nothing was going memes. Throwback pics, business. Promotions. But if you look carefully, some of his captions began to sound purposeful, such as one in which he wrote, "Sometimes silence is the loudest response." Fans viewed it as a clear strike at Jim, implying Cam was not going to get into the turmoil publicly. But behind closed doors, things were boiling. More insiders began speaking out anonymously, and one stated that this wasn't the first time. Tensions have risen between Jim and Cam over trust difficulties. There has always been this underlying struggle between them. Source claimed they brothers, but they've had their conflicts, and a woman being in the midst simply made it worse. And just when things couldn't get much worse, someone close to Chrissy apparently released the text exchange. The conversations weren't graphic, but they indicated a very intimate, friendly tone between her and Cam. Nothing damning, but, again, the time and intensity all pointed to something bigger. And Jim, well, he released a cryptic video to the tale of him strolling alone through the city at night with no captions and no music fans. Regarded it as an indication that he was distancing himself from everyone. By now, the story had become broader than anybody imagined. It wasn't only about Chrissy and Cameron anymore, but about trust betrayal is what occurs when personal relationships and public lives intersect in the most catastrophic manner. Fans were split, some supporting Jim and others arguing he was overreacting without evidence. But one thing was clear: the harm had been done. There were now whispers that Jim had moved out temporarily, and some alleged he was living with a relative in Harlem. Again, nothing proved but the fact that those suspicions existed at the outset. Everything people began making timelines comparing. Video from previous years examining instances when Chrissy and Cam had even the tiniest connection. Those who had never cared about Dipset drama were suddenly totally immersed, treating the tale like a reality show happening in real life. And just when everyone thought during a separate, pre-recorded interview that aired only days after the podcast eruption, Jim did something that sparked everything. When questioned about the condition of loyalty in the business, Jim grinned and shook his head, saying, "I used to believe loyalty was genuine, but now I know better." The reporter attempted to push him, but Jim remained evasive, but the connotation was evident. Meanwhile, Chrissy stayed quiet, with no postings, articles, or appearances, and that silence became the loudest sound in the room. It wasn't denial, nor was it indignation. It was simply nothing. And at times like that, followers started to question whether quiet signaled guilt, or if she was just overwhelmed waiting for the storm to pass. Regardless, the internet wasn't every hour, fresh jokes, edits, and ideas filled social media. But there was one moment that truly rattled fans. A leaked audio tape appeared. Reportedly, it was Jim chatting on the phone with someone from his inner circle in it. His voice was heavy, fatigued, and "I just feel like I'm the last one to know," he stated that everyone else saw it coming except me. That one phrase went viral. Followers utilized it in comments, replies, even auto-tune remixes. It became the devastating soundbite of the whole trust was destroyed.